scheduled meeting, and then we'll jump into our business. Nice to be able to take.
That we approve the minutes as.
I have a motion to approve minutes as written. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved as written. Good job. The only item today on our special meeting is the second public hearing for Melissa Hamilton for a variance from the developmental standards for her property located at 2435 I Street. They wish to do a minor subdivision of this property. However, one of the new parcels will be less than the required minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet in the R3 medium density residential district where it lies. Anybody speaking for and against the project is signed in, I'm assuming?
I think everybody's signed in.
The floor is open.
Corey Allen, the surveyor. So our primary issue here is the lot, being R3, it's supposed to be 12,000 square feet would be the typical size of a lot. It could be split in half. There's only 11,000 square feet in this lot. It's an end lot, and the street's actually at a skew. So what we're asking to do is to make one of the parcels, the eastern parcel, would be over 6,000 square feet, which would meet R3. The other parcel would be 1,400 square feet short of the required by the R3 zoning. That line can be moved, but the line, the way we've established it, gives both parcels a pretty good yard and setback to the buildings. And it could be shifted and adjust that a little bit, but you're probably talking like 100, 200 square feet difference. Any way you slice it, it would be a lot that meets the requirements and a lot that is short of the requirements.
What are the two lot amounts that you're talking about? Because I think that was the question brought before
Okay.
the last meeting, why we're meeting again.
So I think you have this the same exhibit. The eastern lot would be 6,400 square feet. The western lot would be 4,600.
Okay. You're talking about this guy right here?
Yes. Yeah.
That's it.
Now those are approximate off the GIS. We are in the process of finishing the survey, but they'll be within, again, 100, 200 square feet. So the survey's not going to change a significant amount.
There's always a little bit, I'm assuming,
Yes.
but until you do that.
Yeah, this is close enough. I'm certain they'll be very close to these acreages.
It's as close as we can get.
Yeah. We do have in that vicinity, within a block, there are 6 or 7 other lots that are similar. They've been split into less than required acreage amounts. I do have a map if anybody wants to look at that just from the GIS. 2 of them are to the north, 1 of them is to the southeast. I'm sorry, 4 of them are to the north. So it's not atypical for this area. There are other similar situations. This one when we divided this, put this division line in, I think Hamilton's agreed that this makes both properties have a pretty good yard. They look like they'll be desirable lots once this is done, in my opinion.
Do you have that map with you?
Yes. Kind of circled in blue, the ones, the lot, the Hamilton's lot is a square rectangle in blue, and then I've just circled a few. I don't know the history on each one of those, if those were all through zoning or not, but,
Does the less than required for R3 change anything with zoning at all, or it just remains in R3 just with a variance, or?
It stays an R3 with just a variance on the property.
and this isn't a, this is like a 1920s subdivision, so this isn't like something that just happened in the last 20 years. This is,
There are examples of these kinds of things all over our community, as we've talked about. I can't see. This is the one in question.
Do you need that back, Cory?
sure. And this lot configuration also provides enough for off-street parking. If they're deep enough that they can provide that, that's kind of a bigger issue on these, but, both parcels could have off-street parking. I believe 2 would be required
Will
for
they
each.
both have driveways on?
Just the current garage does now.
The current garage has 3-car parking, and then
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
the house, we're gonna add a 2-car spot.
And the garage is a small one,
Yes.
okay, it has a 3-car, okay.
You say you're adding a 2-car garage to your house?
Not a garage, we'll do probably just a paved inlet where that porch part section is, so you can pull up and then access the porch, drive to the house there. So they'll have plenty of parking where they wouldn't have to be on the street, but the street inlets and the cuts and around the main parcel that's the residence now, the streets are designed to hold vehicles. That's the last part of I Street that they sectioned off to hold vehicle parking for the homes there. So they'll have plenty of parking for both residents.
You had mentioned, just as a side point, that regardless of what occurred, you're moving forward with what you've already started to remodel,
Yeah, we just would like to,
changing the garage to a home.
right, and then, have the option of selling, renting, developing the property and access and use for that purpose, so.
Will there be any, will there be any contracting work done, or the elevation changes, or will it all, will it all stay the same?
It's all staying the same, no foundation movement, no, setback changes really, except for the.
So any water runoff's not gonna change any?
No, water runoff isn't gonna change any,
Okay.
no.
I actually stopped by this property when, Mr. Hamilton was outside the other day. It's near my daughter's daycare. So he did kind of show me what he was wanting to do and where his new driveway and all that would be. And it, it lines up with what, he's describing on the picture. So I did see the property in person. And I drove and looked at a couple of the others that were on Corey's map that were circled that had been subdivided, with variances too. So, and there are several in that area from what I had seen.
Are there any other questions for Corey, or any discussion at this point? Anybody speaking against?
Yeah. I know that we've got a precedent set where there are some in the neighborhood on corners that are divided that way. But if you look at the properties surrounding that corner property, the house directly to the north of it is a double lot. The house to the west of it is at least a double lot. It might be just a little bit more, but if you start looking at the square footage, it's a double. If you look to the south, that house is a lot and a half. It's a double lot. Across the street, directly across the street, the 2 houses across the street are lots and a half. So while there are some, as you kind of finger out around the block, that are split, in that little section, it's not, and it will be very different than what's around.
Other questions? whatsoever, before we? This is to go on, whatever happens here goes on to the planning commission, that's all, that's what we're doing, we're making our recommendation to the planning commission.
Yes,
Correct.
you're making the recommendation to allow the lesser than required, and whether you approve it or deny it, will be moved to the planning commission for them to be able to make a actual final decision to do the, subdivision or not. And I'm sure that if you deny this, they'll more than likely deny the whole thing as well too, because they'll follow suit, because without the variance, you can't do it, so.
So your intent on this, on the garage, you're gonna convert it over to a home, right?
Yeah, it'll be, a 3-bedroom, 3.5, 2-story home, that we can use as in-law quarters while we're residing there. We could rent it out, or we could sell it, or, really just, we don't have a definitive plan. That's why we're continuing with, we know we're gonna remodel it, we don't need the garage space in that sense that we have to park our vehicles inside for any reason, so, it's a well-done garage, it's a good project, it was a work, type shop before, and we just see the potential of it being a good addition to the neighborhood. It's,
I do have a question for you, Brandon. If we did deny it, they could still remodel it and use it as a rental, right?
Yes, and he's currently in the process of doing that. He has a building permit for the property.
So, it's
for it.
not,
And he's working through our department following all the steps,
yeah.
for the wiring, framing, anything he might be doing. We're doing inspections and stuff on
Yeah.
that till the end
Yeah.
on it. So, yeah, he can continue to do this. The only thing is that you won't have 2 separate parcels if it's denied.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's approved and he has the opportunity to sell one parcel, still live in the other house on the other property. But if he decides, if it doesn't get approved, then he'll say all one lot
Mhm.
with 2 homes on it, and then he'll just have to sell the house with a house on it. So that's what it boils down to is, and I think that's why in case he wants to live there in the main home and then sell the other home, then he still has his house there where he wants to be. But he would have to try to sell it all.
But it still is a garage.
Yeah.
It is a garage still. I know it'll have living quarters, but essentially most of the property, most of that structure is garage.
And will remain garage?
I think so.
Okay.
Unless they're closing it in downstairs.
yeah, we've closed it in downstairs.
Okay.
So it will not sub as a garage. It is intended to rent, lease to own, or sell. So it's intended for those purposes. That's for sure. And then a separate residence for us as well. So we're here to make a definitive split.
It'll stay the same.
Yeah.
Now, what we do from there, I don't wanna tell you that we're just gonna sell it and then we rent it out, and I don't wanna mislead you, so I'm just being clear. The whole purpose of this is to make it a
Obviously,
definitive.
separating gives you a lot more options.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is, it's been one lot,
Yeah.
Correct.
and things are moving forward, obviously, as they need to, but, we got a problem, obviously, with the minimum lot size by breaking them up, that's why.
Matt, I'm ready to make a motion.
Please.
Based on what I've heard, and I can understand both sides, but, really, things aren't gonna change, so I make a motion to approve, for it to go on to the planning commission.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion to approve the request to move forward to the planning commission, right? Obviously, and I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?